first thing that we need to work on with the handstand is understanding that really the only thing that's required to balance a handstand is maintaining your center of mass over a base of support, okay? But there's one thing that's going to assist us with that, and that's learning to be rigid, okay? So if I'm going to try to balance this stick on my finger, I'm going to have a much easier time to balance this stick than I would a wet noodle, okay? And the difference is rigidity. So the first series of exercises we're going to look at are all the exercises to understand how to create rigidity in your body, and it's going to make it a lot easier for us to balance. The first of the exercises that we're going to look at is called a back body line drill, okay? And we're going to develop the conditioning and the rigidity required to make it easy for the handstand later. A lot of people skip over this exercise and they want to move on quickly, mostly because it's difficult, okay? But this is where a lot of the gold is when it comes to training handstands. So we're going to go through a few different progressions. The first thing to understand is that I want to create a nice flat back, and I'm going to do what's called a posterior tilt of my pelvis, which basically means I'm going to tuck my pelvis under, squeeze my glutes, and that's going to flatten my back. So I'm going to create this posterior tilt and bring my feet off the ground in this position, okay? Knees are together. To start with, this might be the position that you're going to work on. If I want to increase the difficulty, I'm just going to start to extend the legs. But the entire time, I can't lose this flat back, no arching of the lower back whatsoever. I can't get my fingers under this spot in my back. Locking the knees out, point the toes, and I want the toes to be about the same height as my belly button. Hands are going to be to the side here. This is going to be the first position that we're going to work on. Second, I'm going to start to bring my hands above the head. The third position that we're going to advance this to is using a little weight on a dowel or a PVC, okay? So I get the flat back, knees together, toes are pointed, I extend my legs. Toes are around about belly button height. I haven't lost this shape here. I extend the arms above the head, and I want to maintain this position here, and I try to stay still. So that's going to be the back body line drill. The front body line drill is a drill that we use to also develop the alignment, but instead of laying on the back like we did in the back body line drill, you're going to be laying on the stomach, okay? The same idea applies, that we're looking for rigidity and also to create this flat back, which gives us the shape that we want in the handstand, okay? How are we going to do this? You're going to lay face down, feet are together, heels are together. Before we do anything, we just want to understand that it's a posterior tilt of the pelvis, the exact same way that I did on the back. When I do this, all I'm doing is tucking the pelvis, and I'll create a space under here with my under my belly button, so my hands could get through this space, and I'm squeezing the glutes. I'm not lifting my hips off the ground. Okay, that's going to create an anterior tilt of the pelvis. What we want is a posterior tilt, and I'm creating as flat of a lower back as I possibly can. Once I can maintain this position, I'm going to grab hold of a stick, and I'm going to lift the stick off the ground whilst maintaining this flat back position. So that's going to be the front body line drill.